3 months ago, when everything began, Chief Henry was one of the richest men in Nigeria. His company, Henry Group, owned tall glass buildings, fancy hotels, and factories that made everything from cars to phones. He lived in a mansion so big it had its own movie theater and swimming pool. But Chief Henry wasn't just rich. He was wise. He cared about his only son Daniel more than anything. Daniel had been studying medicine in London for 6 years. He was smart, kind, and handsome, with a smile that made people feel warm. Now, at 25 years old, he was coming back to Nigeria. Chief Henry was thrilled, but he had one big worry. He wanted Daniel to marry a good woman. Not someone who loved money, but someone hard-working, kind, and respectful. "Daniel, I've found 2 women who work for me," Chief Henry said one evening over a video call. "Amara and Victoria. They're both smart and talented. I think one of them could be perfect for you." Daniel frowned at his laptop screen. "Dad, I don't want a wife who knows I'm rich. They'll just pretend to like me for the money. I want someone who loves me for me." Chief Henry chuckled. "You're too clever, my boy. All right, do what you think is best." Daniel had an idea, a secret plan. He wouldn't return as Daniel, the billionaire's son. Instead, he'd disguise himself as a poor security guard at his father's company. That way, he could watch Amara and Victoria and see who they really were. No one would know his true identity, not even his father's employees. The 2 women. The next day, Daniel arrived at Henry Group's main office in Lagos. He wore a faded blue security guard uniform, a cap pulled low over his eyes, and scuffed shoes. To everyone, he was just David, the new guard. He stood by the gate, checking IDs and opening doors, but his real job was watching Amara and Victoria. Amara was a 24-year-old accountant in the company. She had a bright smile and kind eyes. Every morning she greeted everyone from the cleaners to the managers with warmth. When she saw Daniel as David the guard, she'd wave and say, "Good morning, sir. Hope you're staying cool today." On hot days, she'd even bring him a bottle of cold water from her own lunch bag. "You work so hard out here," she'd say, her voice gentle. Daniel noticed how she helped her co-workers, shared her food, and never complained, even when her boss gave her extra work. Victoria was different. Also 24, she worked in the marketing department. She walked like she owned the building, her high heels clicking loudly. She wore fancy clothes and always had the latest phone. But her words were sharp. She ignored the cleaners, rolled her eyes at coworkers, and only smiled at people she thought were important. When she passed Daniel at the gate, she'd sneer. "Don't stare at me, guard," she snapped one day. "You're not worth my time." Daniel stayed quiet, but he was taking notes in his head. The first spark of trouble after this drop. One afternoon, Daniel overheard Victoria talking to her friend in the company cafeteria. "I heard Chief Henry's son is coming back soon," Victoria said, tossing her hair. "He's rich, handsome, and single. I'm gonna make him mine. Imagine me living in that mansion." Her friend giggled, but Victoria's eyes gleamed with greed. "That quiet Amara thinks she's so perfect," Victoria added. "She's nothing compared to me. I'll make sure she stays out of my way." Daniel's heart sank. He didn't like Victoria's attitude, but he kept his disguise and stayed silent. Later that day, he saw Amara sitting alone, eating a simple lunch of rice and stew. He walked over, pretending to check something near her table. "Hi, Amara," he said shyly, using his fake name. "I'm David, the new guard." Amara looked up and smiled. "Oh, hi, David. Nice to meet you. Want some water? It's so hot today." They started talking, and Daniel was amazed. Amara was funny, kind, and didn't care that he was just a guard. She told him about her dream to help poor kids go to school someday. "Money's nice," she said, "but making people happy is better." Daniel felt a warm feeling in his chest. Could Amara be the one? Victoria's plan, meanwhile. Victoria was scheming. She'd noticed Amara's friendly chats with the new guard and didn't like it. Why is she wasting time with that nobody? Victoria muttered to herself. She decided to make Amara's life harder. The next day, she accidentally spilled coffee on Amara's work papers. Oops, Victoria said, smirking. You should be more careful, Amara. Amara stayed calm, but her eyes were sad as she cleaned up the mess. Daniel saw everything from his post at the gate. He wanted to help Amara, but he couldn't blow his cover. Instead, he started finding small ways to make her smile, like leaving a flower on her desk with a note that said, "Keep shining." Amara didn't know who left the notes, but they made her happy. She started looking forward to seeing David the guard every day. They'd talk for a few minutes when no one was around, sharing stories and laughing. Daniel felt himself falling for her, but he kept his secret. He needed to be sure. Dangerous new player. Then came Mr. Raymond. He was a tall, charming man who visited the company one day. He drove a shiny black car and wore a suit that screamed money. Victoria's eyes lit up when she saw him. "Who's that?" she asked her friend, already planning her next move. She didn't know Raymond was married and just visiting for a business deal. Victoria started flirting with Raymond, batting her eyelashes and laughing loudly at his jokes. She thought, if I can't get Chief Henry's son, this guy might be my backup plan. She even bragged to Amara, "You'll never get a man like that, Amara. Stick to your little guard friend." Amara ignored her, but Daniel overheard. He felt angry, but stayed calm. He was starting to see Victoria's true colors, and they weren't pretty. The cliffhanger. One evening, as Daniel locked the company gate, he saw Victoria talking to a strange man in a dark car. The man handed her a small camera. "Get me something juicy," the man said. "Something to ruin that Amara girl." Victoria nodded, a wicked smile on her face. "Don't worry. I'll make sure she's out of the picture." Daniel's heart raced. What was Victoria planning? Was she spying on Amara? And who was that man? He wanted to warn Amara, but he couldn't reveal his identity yet. As he watched Victoria walk away, his phone buzzed. It was an email from an unknown sender. The subject line made his blood run cold. Video titled, "The Truth About You." He opened it and saw the same video Victoria would receive weeks later. But this time it wasn't about her, it was about him. The footage showed Daniel changing out of his security guard uniform into his real clothes, revealing he was no ordinary guard. The video ended with text, "Who is the real David?" Someone knew his secret, and they were watching. The night was quiet, but Daniel's mind was racing. He stood outside the company gate, clutching his phone, the mysterious email still open. The video titled "The Truth About You" had shaken him. Someone had filmed him changing out of his security guard uniform, revealing he wasn't just David, the poor guard, but Daniel, the billionaire's son. The final words on the screen, "Who is the real David?" felt like a warning. Who knew his secret? And why were they targeting him now? Daniel glanced around the empty parking lot. The streetlights cast long shadows and a cool breeze made him shiver. He had to stay calm. His plan to disguise himself as a guard to test Amara and Victoria was working. But this video meant someone was watching him. Was it the same person Victoria was talking to in that dark car? And what did they want with Amara? He couldn't tell anyone, not yet. He needed to protect his secret and keep Amara safe. But one thing was clear. The game had just gotten more dangerous. A new day, new tensions. The next morning, Daniel was back at his post as David the guard, his cap pulled low to hide his worried eyes. He scanned every face entering the Henry Group office, wondering who might know his secret. Employees hurried past, chatting about work and weekend plans, but Daniel's focus was on two people, Amara and Victoria. Amara arrived with her usual bright smile. "Morning, David," she called, holding out a small plastic bottle of cold water. "It's going to be hot today. Stay cool, okay?" Daniel's heart warmed. Even with everything going on, Amara's kindness made him feel lighter. "Thanks, Amara," he said, taking the bottle. "You're too nice to me," she laughed, her eyes sparkling. "It's just water, David. You act like I gave you gold." As she walked inside, Daniel watched her go, feeling a mix of happiness and fear. He wanted to tell her everything: his real name, his feelings, the strange video, but he couldn't. Not until he knew who was behind the camera. Victoria arrived a few minutes later, her high heels clicking sharply. She didn't even glance at Daniel, but her face was tense, like she was plotting something. Daniel remembered the camera she'd taken from the man in the car. Was she filming Amara? Or worse, had she filmed him? Victoria's scheme unfolds inside the office. Victoria was on a mission. She sat at her desk, the small camera hidden in her purse. The man from the car, a shady private investigator named Mr. Tunde, had promised her big money if she could dig up dirt on Amara. "Find something embarrassing," he'd said. "Something to make her look bad. My client wants her out of the company." Victoria didn't care who Tunde's client was. She just wanted the money and a chance to make Amara look small. She was jealous of Amara's popularity. Everyone liked Amara, from the cleaners to the managers. Victoria hated it. "She's just a born accountant," Victoria muttered to herself. "I'm the one who deserves to shine." That afternoon, Victoria put her plan into action. She waited until Amara was alone in the break room, then accidentally bumped into her, knocking a stack of papers to the floor. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," Victoria said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. As Amara bent down to pick up the papers, Victoria slipped the tiny camera from her purse and hid it behind a coffee mug on the counter, aiming it at Amara. Amara didn't notice. She smiled politely. "It's okay, Victoria. Accidents happen." Victoria smirked and walked away, thinking, "You'll regret being so nice." The camera was set to record everything Amara did in the break room. Victoria hoped to catch her doing something embarrassing, maybe spilling food or talking about someone behind their back. Anything to make Amara look bad. But Daniel saw everything. From his spot near the entrance, he'd noticed Victoria's sneaky move with the camera. His stomach twisted. He wanted to march in and grab it, but that would blow his cover. Instead, he decided to keep a closer eye on Victoria. A sweet moment amid the chaos. That evening, as the office emptied out, Amara stayed late to finish some work. Daniel, still pretending to be David, offered to walk her to the bus stop. "It's dark out," he said. "I don't want you going alone." Amara hesitated, then smiled. "Okay, David, that's really sweet of you." As they walked through the quiet streets, the city lights twinkling around them, Daniel felt his guard slipping. Amara talked about her childhood, how she grew up in a small village with no electricity, dreaming of a better life. "I want to help kids like me," she said. "Maybe open a school one day." "What about you, David? What's your dream?" Daniel froze. He couldn't tell her the truth, that he was a billionaire's son with a medical degree from London. So he made up a story. I want to help people too. Maybe be a doctor someday." Amara's eyes lit up. "A doctor? That's amazing. You'd be great at it, David. You're so kind." Her words made Daniel's heart ache. He hated lying to her, but he was falling for her more every day. As they reached the bus stop, Amara turned to him. "Thanks for walking with me, David. You're a good friend." The words stung, but Daniel smiled. "Anytime, Amara." As her bus pulled away, Daniel's phone buzzed again. Another email from the unknown sender. This time, the subject read, video titled, "Watch Her Fall." His hands shook as he opened it. The video showed Amara in the break room, picking up the papers Victoria had knocked over. The footage was edited to make it look like Amara was stealing something from the counter, with a close-up of her hand near the coffee mug. Daniel's blood boiled. The video was a lie, meant to frame Amara. He knew Victoria was behind it, but who was helping her? And why were they targeting Amara? Victoria's double game. Meanwhile, Victoria was playing a dangerous game. She'd been flirting with Mr. Raymond, the rich-looking businessman, hoping he'd be her ticket to a fancy life if her plan to marry Chief Henry's son didn't work out. She met him for coffee at a fancy cafe, laughing at his stories and touching his arm. "You must be so successful," she purred, batting her eyelashes. Raymond smiled, but his eyes were cold. "You're charming, Victoria," he said, "but I'm a busy man. Let's keep this light." Victoria didn't care. She was sure she could win him over. What she didn't know was that Raymond was married, with 2 kids, and had no interest in her beyond a few flirty chats. He was just passing time, while in Nigeria for business, back at her apartment. Victoria checked the footage from the break room camera. She grinned when she saw the clip of Amara. "Perfect," she whispered. She sent it to Mr. Tunde, the investigator, who promised to edit it into something juicy to ruin Amora's reputation. But Victoria was getting cocky. She started bragging to her co-workers about her big plans. "You'll see," she told her friend in the cafeteria. "I'm going to be living in a mansion soon. Amara can keep her little guard boyfriend. I'm aiming higher." Daniel overheard her again, his jaw tightening. He was starting to piece things together. Victoria was working with someone to hurt Amara, and that same someone might know his secret. But he needed proof. A shocking discovery. The next day, Daniel decided to take a risk. During his lunch break, he slipped into the break room when no one was around. He found Victoria's hidden camera behind the coffee mug and turned it off. Then he checked the memory card. His heart sank as he saw more footage, not just of Amara, but of him. There were clips of him talking to Amara, laughing with her, and even one of him adjusting his cap, showing a glimpse of his real watch, a fancy one he'd forgotten to take off. Who was filming them both? But who? Daniel copied the footage onto his phone and put the camera back, his mind racing. He had to protect Amara, but he was running out of time. That afternoon, Victoria got a call from Mr. Tunde. "Good work on the Amara video," he said. "My client loves it, but we need more, something bigger. Can you get her to do something really bad?" Victoria smirked. "Don't worry, I have an idea." The cliffhanger that evening, Amara was working late again. Victoria had left a fake note on her desk, pretending it was from the company manager. The note said, "Amara, meet me in the storage room at 7 p.m. to discuss a promotion." Amara, excited about the chance for a better job, headed to the storage room. But when she got there, the door locked behind her. The lights went out, and she heard laughter. Victoria's laughter. "Let's see how perfect you are now," Victoria called through the door. Amara banged on the door, scared. "Victoria, let me out. This isn't funny." Outside, Daniel was locking up the building when he heard Amara's shouts. He ran toward the storage room, his heart pounding, but as he reached the door, his phone buzzed with another email. The subject line read, "Video titled, The Trap." The video showed Amara locked in the storage room, panicking, with text that said, "Amara's secret crime, caught on camera." Daniel froze. Someone was filming this right now, and they were about to ruin Amara's life. The trap tightens. The storage room door rattled as Amara pounded on it, her voice trembling with fear. "Victoria, please, open the door!" Her shouts echoed in the dark, empty hallway of the Henry Group office. Outside, Daniel gripped his phone, the chilling email still open. Video titled, "The Trap." The footage showed Amara trapped, her face lit by the faint glow of her phone as she tried to call for help. The text on the screen twisted her innocent panic into something sinister. Amara's secret crime caught on camera. Daniel's heart raced. Someone was filming Amara right now, trying to make her look like a criminal. He knew Victoria was behind the locked door, laughing cruelly, but the video meant someone else was involved. Someone with a camera. Someone who knew his secret too. He had to act fast. Dropping his phone into his pocket, he sprinted to the storage room, his security guard boots thudding against the floor. "Amara, I'm here," he shouted, banging on the door. "Hold on." Inside, Amara's voice softened with relief. "David, is that you? Please get me out." Daniel fumbled with his keys, his hands shaking. He wasn't just David the guard. He was Daniel, the billionaire's son, and he couldn't let Amara get hurt because of his plan. But as he unlocked the door, a chilling thought hit him. The person filming could be watching him right now. The door swung open, and Amara stumbled out, her eyes wide with fear. "Thank you, David," she gasped, clutching his arm. "Victoria locked me in there. I don't know why she hates me so much." Daniel wanted to tell her everything, his real identity, the videos, the danger, but he couldn't. Not yet. "You're safe now," he said, his voice steady despite the storm in his mind. "Let's get you out of here." As they hurried down the hallway, Daniel's eyes darted to every corner, searching for a hidden camera. Someone was playing a dangerous game, and he was running out of time to figure out who. A dangerous game. The next morning, the office buzzed with its usual energy, but Daniel felt like he was walking through a minefield. He stood at his post by the gate, his cap low, watching everyone who passed. Amara arrived, looking tired but still smiling. "Morning, David," she said softly. "Thanks again for last night. You're my hero." Daniel's heart skipped. "Just doing my job," he said, forcing a grin. But inside, he was worried. The video of Amara in the storage room hadn't spread yet, but he knew it was only a matter of time. He had to find out who was behind it before they struck again. Victoria, meanwhile, strutted into the office like nothing had happened. She wore a bright red dress and a smug smile, as if she'd already won. Daniel overheard her talking to her friend in the parking lot. "Amara thinks she's so smart," Victoria sneered. "But I've got something that'll ruin her for good." Daniel's fists clenched. He knew Victoria was working with Mr. Tunded, the shady investigator, but he still didn't know who Tunded's client was. Was it someone in the company? Someone who knew Daniel's secret? He needed answers, but he couldn't risk blowing his cover. To make things worse, Mr. Raymond, the charming businessman, was back at the office. Victoria was all over him, laughing loudly and flipping her hair. "Mr. Raymond, you have to tell me about your latest deal," she said, her voice sugary sweet. Raymond smiled politely, but Daniel noticed his eyes flicker with annoyance. Victoria didn't see it. She was too busy dreaming of a rich husband. Daniel decided to dig deeper. During his break, he slipped into the security office and checked the company's CCTV footage. He found a clip from the previous night showing Victoria locking the storage room door while Amara was inside. But there was something else, a shadow moving in the corner of the frame. Someone had been standing in the hallway, holding a camera. The figure was too blurry to identify, but Daniel's stomach twisted. This was bigger than Victoria's jealousy. Amara's heart. That afternoon, Amara found Daniel near the gate, holding a small paper bag. "I made you something," she said shyly, handing it to him. Inside was a homemade biscuit, shaped like a heart. "It's not much, but I wanted to thank you for helping me." Daniel stared at the biscuit, his throat tight. "Amara, this is amazing, thank you." He wanted to say more, to tell her how much she meant to him, but the weight of his secret held him back. Instead, he took a bite of the biscuit. It was sweet and crunchy, just like her smile. "You're really good at this," he said. Amara blushed. "My mom taught me. She always said food is a way to show you care." She paused, looking at him with soft eyes. "David, you're different from everyone else here. You're kind. I really like talking to you." Daniel's heart soared, but guilt gnawed at him. He was lying to her, pretending to be someone he wasn't. "I like talking to you too," he said quietly. "More than you know." As Amara walked back to her desk, Daniel made a decision. He couldn't keep lying to her forever, but first he had to stop Victoria and her mysterious ally before they hurt Amara or exposed him. Victoria's next move. Victoria was getting impatient. She'd sent the storage room video to Mr. Tunde, but he wanted more. "Make it bigger," he'd told her over the phone. "Something that'll get Amara fired." Victoria didn't understand why Tunde's client cared so much about Amara, but the promise of money and a chance to crush her rival kept her going. She came up with a new plan. The company was hosting a big meeting the next day where all the employees would present their work to Chief Henry himself. Victoria decided to sabotage Amara's presentation. She snuck into Amara's desk after hours and swapped her report with a fake one. full of mistakes. "Let's see how perfect you look when you mess up in front of the boss," Victoria whispered, a wicked grin on her face. But Victoria wasn't as clever as she thought. Daniel, still in his guard uniform, had stayed late to check the cameras again. He saw Victoria sneaking around Amara's desk and recorded her on his phone. It wasn't enough to expose her yet, but it was a start. Victoria wasn't done. She also planned to use the meeting to impress Chief Henry and get closer to his son. She'd heard rumors that Daniel, the billionaire's son, might attend. She wore her most expensive dress and practiced her smile in the mirror, dreaming of a life in the mansion. That night, Daniel sat in his small rented apartment, staring at the footage he'd copied from Victoria's camera and the company's CCTV. He noticed something strange. In every video, there was a faint logo in the corner, a tiny symbol of a hawk. He searched online and found it belonged to a private investigation firm called Hawkeye Security. That had to be Mr. Tunt's company. Daniel's mind raced. Why was a private investigator targeting Amara? And how did they know his secret? He called a friend from London, a tech expert named Kemi, and sent her the videos. "Can you trace where these came from?" he asked. Kemi promised to dig into it, but she warned him, "Whoever's doing this is good, Daniel. They're covering their tracks. Be careful." The cliffhanger. The next day was the big meeting. The conference room was packed with employees, all nervous to present to Chief Henry. Amara stood at the front holding her report, unaware it had been tampered with. Victoria sat in the back, smirking, her phone ready to record Amara's failure. Daniel watched from the doorway, his heart pounding. He'd tried to warn Amara about the fake report, but she'd been too busy to talk. As Amara started her presentation, the projector showed a slide full of ridiculous errors, numbers that didn't add up, silly typos, and even a cartoon drawing of a dog. The room gasped, and Amara's face turned red. Chief Henry frowned. "Amara, what is this?" he asked, his voice stern. Victoria leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with triumph. But then the projector flickered, and a new video started playing. One Victoria hadn't planned. It was titled, "The Truth About You." The screen showed Victoria sneaking into Amara's desk, swapping the reports and laughing to herself. The room went silent as every employee turned to stare at her. Victoria's face went pale. "That's not me," she stammered, but no one believed her. Daniel's phone buzzed with a new email. The subject read, "Video titled, You're Next." The message was simple. "We know who you are, David. Stop playing games, or you'll be exposed." Daniel's blood ran cold. The room was still buzzing with shock over Victoria's video, but he barely noticed. Someone was one step ahead of him, and they were closing in. The conference room was a storm of whispers as the video exposing Victoria played on the projector. Her smug smile was gone, replaced by a look of pure panic. The footage showed her sneaking into Amara's desk, swapping the reports and laughing wickedly. Employees gasped, some shaking their heads, others staring at Victoria like she was a stranger. Chief Henry stood at the front, his face hard as stone. "Victoria, explain yourself," he demanded, his voice like thunder. Victoria stammered, her hands shaking. That's not me. Someone edited it." But her voice cracked and no one believed her. The evidence was clear, playing in front of everyone. Amara stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock, clutching her ruined presentation papers. She hadn't realized Victoria's jealousy ran so deep. Daniel, still disguised as David the security guard, watched from the doorway, his heart pounded. Not just for Amara, who looked humiliated, but because of the email burning a hole in his pocket. Video titled, "You're Next." The message was clear. Whoever was behind these videos knew he was Daniel, the billionaire's son, not just a guard. They were threatening to expose him, and he had no idea how much time he had left. As the room buzzed with chaos, Daniel's eyes locked on Victoria. She was cornered, but he knew she wasn't the mastermind. Someone else, likely Mr. Toon and his mysterious client, was pulling the strings. And now they were coming for him. The video titled "The Truth About You" started this mess, and it seemed every new video was tightening the trap around him and Amara. Chief Henry raised a hand, silencing the room. "Victoria, you're suspended until we investigate this. Leave now." Victoria's face crumpled, but she grabbed her purse and stormed out, shoving past Daniel without a glance. He caught a glimpse of her phone screen as she passed. An email from Mr. Tunde, the investigator. It read, "Meet me tonight. We need to talk." Daniel's mind raced. This was his chance to find out who was behind the videos. But he had to act fast before Victoria, Tunde, or their client ruined everything. A fragile moment. After the meeting, Amara sat alone in the break room, her head in her hands. Daniel found her there, still in his guard uniform, his cap hiding his worried eyes. "Amara, you okay?" he asked softly, sitting across from her. She looked up, her eyes red. "I don't understand, David. Why does Victoria hate me so much? I've never done anything to her." Daniel's heart ached. He wanted to tell her the truth, that Victoria was jealous because Amara was kind, loved by everyone, and catching the eye of the billionaire's son. But he couldn't. Instead, he reached for her hand. "Some people are just mean. But you're stronger than her. Everyone saw that today." Amara gave a small smile. "Thanks, David. You always know what to say." She paused, looking at him closely. "You're different, you know. Most people here don't care about a guard, but I feel like I can trust you." Her words hit Daniel like a wave. He squeezed her hand gently. "You can trust me, Amara, I promise." But guilt gnawed at him. He was lying about who he was, and every day he kept the secret it felt heavier. As Amara left to finish her work, Daniel made a decision. He had to follow Victoria to her meeting with Mr. Tunde. It was risky, but it was the only way to uncover the truth. Tracking the truth that evening, Daniel borrowed a coworker's old motorcycle and followed Victoria's car from a distance. She drove to a quiet part of Lagos, stopping at a dimly lit cafe with cracked windows. Daniel parked across the street, hiding in the shadows. Through the cafe window, he saw Victoria sit down with Mr. Tunde, the private investigator. Tunde was a short man with sharp eyes and a sly grin. He slid a folder across the table to Victoria, who opened it eagerly. Daniel couldn't hear their conversation, but he saw Victoria's face light up, then twist into anger. She slammed the folder shut and pointed a finger at Tunde, her voice rising loud enough for Daniel to catch a few words. "You promised me money. Why is it about him now?" Him, Daniel's stomach dropped. Were they talking about him? He pulled out his phone and started recording, zooming in on the table. Tunde leaned forward, whispering something that made Victoria nod reluctantly. She took the folder and left, her heels clicking angrily as she headed to her car. Daniel waited until Tunde left, then followed him instead. Tunde drove to a fancy hotel where he met a man in a dark suit. The man's face was hidden by a hat, but Daniel recognized the Hawk logo on his briefcase, the same one from the videos. This was Tunde's client, the one orchestrating everything. Daniel's heart pounded. He was close to answers, but he felt like he was walking into a trap. Victoria's desperation. Back at her apartment, Victoria was a wreck. The folder Tunde gave her contained photos, not of Amara, but of David the guard. They showed him changing out of his uniform, revealing a fancy watch and expensive shoes. One photo even caught him on the phone, talking about Chief Henry's plans. Victoria's hands shook as she stared at the pictures. "Who is this guy?" she whispered. Tunde had told her the truth. David wasn't just a guard. He was someone important, maybe even connected to Chief Henry. Tunde's client wanted to expose him, and they needed Victoria's help. "Get me proof he's not who he says," Tunde had said. "There's big money in it for you." Victoria's greed took over. She didn't care who David was. She saw a chance to save herself. The office buzzed with gossip, and Amara felt the weight of suspicious stares. Daniel overheard the rumors and knew Victoria was behind them. He wanted to confront her, but he had bigger problems. His friend Kemi, the tech expert, called with news. "I traced the videos," she said. "They're coming from a server linked to Hawkeye Security. But Daniel, it's worse than you think. The client isn't just after Amara. They're targeting you. They know you're Chief Henry's son." Daniel's blood ran cold. "Who's the client?" he asked. "I don't know yet," Kemi said. "But they're close to you. Someone in the company. Be careful." Daniel hung up, his mind spinning. Someone in the company? Was it a jealous manager? A rival? He needed to tell his father, but first he had to protect Amara. The cliffhanger: that afternoon, Chief Henry called Amara to his office. Daniel watched from his post, his heart sinking as Amara walked in, looking nervous. Inside, Chief Henry held the fake document Victoria had planted. "Amara, this letter says you're leaking company secrets," he said, his voice heavy. "Is this true?" Amara's eyes filled with tears. "No, sir, I'd never do that." Before Chief Henry could respond, an email popped up on his computer. It was video titled "The Final Proof." The video showed Amara in the storage room, edited to make it look like she was stealing files, and David meeting her secretly, whispering about taking down the company. The footage was fake, but it looked real enough to fool anyone. Chief Henry's face darkened. "Amara, I trusted you. And who's this guard you're meeting?" Amara shook her head, confused. "David, he's just a friend." Daniel, listening from outside, felt his world crumble. The trap was closing and he was out of time. His phone buzzed with a final email. Video titled, "Time's Up. Reveal yourself or she pays the price." Attached was a live feed of Amara, sitting in Chief Henry's office, about to lose everything. The live feed on Daniel's phone showed Amara sitting in Chief Henry's office, her face pale as she tried to defend herself. The fake document accusing her of stealing company secrets lay on the desk, and the video titled "The Final Proof" played on Chief Henry's computer, painting Amara and David the guard as traitors. Daniel's heart pounded. The email's threat echoed in his mind: "Reveal yourself or she pays the price." He stood just outside the office door, still in his security guard uniform, his cap hiding his eyes. The mastermind behind the videos, someone in the company working with Mr. Tundi, was watching, waiting for him to crack. If he stayed silent, Amara would be fired, maybe even arrested. But if he revealed he was Daniel, Chief Henry's son, his plan to find a true, honest wife would collapse, and the enemy would win. Daniel took a deep breath. He couldn't let Amara suffer for his secrets. It was time to end the game. He pushed open the office door, his boots heavy on the polished floor. "Dad, stop," he said, his voice steady but loud. "Amara's innocent, and I'm not who you think I am." Chief Henry's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. "David? What's this about?" Amara gasped, her hands covering her mouth. "David, what are you doing?" Daniel pulled off his cap, letting his face show clearly. "I'm not David. I'm Daniel, your son." He turned to Amara, his eyes soft but urgent. "I've been pretending to be a guard to see who people really are. I'm so sorry I lied to you." The room went silent. Chief Henry's jaw dropped. Amara stared, her eyes wide with shock and hurt. Before anyone could speak, Daniel's phone buzzed again. Another email. Video titled "Checkmate." He ignored it. Whoever was behind this was about to lose. Unraveling the plot, Chief Henry leaned back in his chair, his face a mix of shock and pride. "Daniel, you disguised yourself. Why?" Daniel explained everything. His fear that women would love him for his money, his plan to test Amara and Victoria, the mysterious videos, and Victoria's schemes with Mr. Tung. "Someone's been filming us," he said, holding up his phone. "They framed Amara and tried to blackmail me, but I've got proof it's all a lie." He pulled out a USB drive with the footage he'd collected. Victoria swapping Amara's report, locking her in the storage room, and meeting Tande. He also showed the CCTV clip of the shadowy figure with the hawk logo. "This is Hawkeye Security," Daniel said, Tunde's firm. "But someone in the company hired him. We need to find out who. Chief Henry's face hardened. Bring Victoria here, now. Daniel nodded, but before he could move, Amara spoke, her voice shaky. Daniel, why didn't you tell me? I trusted you. Her eyes were wet, and Daniel felt a stab of guilt. I wanted to, he said softly, but I had to be sure, and then the video started. I was trying to protect you. Amara looked away, hurt but silent. Daniel wanted to say more, but there was no time. He called security to find Victoria, who was still in the building, hiding in the marketing department. Victoria's downfall? Victoria was dragged into Chief Henry's office, her red dress wrinkled, her smug smile gone. This is a mistake, she cried, but her voice faltered when she saw Daniel standing tall, no longer in his guard uniform. He wore a sharp suit now, his true identity clear. Victoria, Chief Henry said coldly, you've been sabotaging Amara and working with an investigator to harm my company. Explain yourself. Victoria's eyes darted to Daniel, then Amara, then the USB drive on the desk. She realized she was trapped. I didn't mean any harm, she lied. It was Tunde's idea. He said his client wanted Amara gone. Who's the client? Daniel demanded, stepping closer. Victoria hesitated, then blurted, I don't know. Tunde never told me. He just paid me to plant things and film Amara. Her voice cracked and she started to cry, but no one felt sorry for her. Chief Henry picked up his phone. Security, escort Victoria out. As guards led her away, Victoria screamed, You'll regret this, all of you. But her threats were empty. She'd lost everything. The mastermind revealed Daniel wasn't done. He knew Tunde's client was the real enemy. He called Keme, his tech friend, who had been tracing the video server. I found something, Keme said over the phone. The payments to Hawkeye Security came from an account linked to Mr. Raymond. Daniel's blood ran cold. Mr. Raymond? The businessman Victoria had been flirting with? The man who seemed charming but cold? Are you sure? Daniel asked. Positive, Keme said. He's been funneling money through a fake company, and Daniel, he's not just a businessman, he's got a history of corporate espionage. Daniel hung up and told his father. Chief Henry's eyes narrowed. Raymond was here for a deal, but I suspected he was fishing for secrets. I didn't know he'd go this far. They called Raymond to the office, pretending it was about the deal. When he arrived, all smiles and confidence, Daniel confronted him. We know you hired Tunde, he said, holding up the USB drive. You wanted to frame Amara and expose me. Why? Raymond's smile faded. He tried to laugh it off. You're mistaken, young man. I'm just here for business. But Chief Henry wasn't fooled. We've traced your payments, he said. You wanted to ruin my company's reputation and steal our contracts. You used Victoria and Tunde to do your dirty work. Cornered, Raymond's charm vanished. Fine, he spat. Your company's too powerful. I needed leverage. Amara was an easy target, and when I realized you were pretending to be a guard, Daniel, I saw my chance to take you down too. Chief Henry called the police, and Raymond was arrested. Tunde, realizing the game was up, turned himself in, hoping for a lighter sentence. The videos stopped and the threat was over. A new beginning. With the truth out, Daniel turned to Amara, who had been quiet through it all. Amara, I'm so sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I never meant to hurt you. I disguised myself because I wanted to find someone who loved me for me. And I found you. Amara's eyes softened, but she crossed her arms. You lied, Daniel. I liked David because he was kind, not because he was rich. You should have trusted me. Daniel nodded, ashamed. You're right. I was wrong. But I love you, Amara. Not as a guard or a billionaire's son. Just as me. Can you forgive me? Amara hesitated, then smiled. Maybe, but you owe me a lot of biscuits to make up for it. Daniel laughed, relief washing over him. Chief Henry watched, a proud smile on his face. Amara, he said, you're cleared of all charge and I'm promoting you to branch manager. You've earned it." Amara's eyes widened. "Thank you, sir," she said, beaming. "The happy ending." A month later, Daniel planned a surprise. He invited Amara to a beautiful garden party at his father's mansion. Under twinkling lights, he got down on one knee. "Amara, you're my best friend and my heart. Will you marry me?" Amara's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Daniel," she said, throwing her arms around him. The crowd cheered, and Chief Henry clapped loudest of all. Their wedding was a dream. Flowers, music, and laughter filled the air. Amara became a branch manager, leading with kindness, while Daniel started a free clinic for the poor, inspired by her dreams. A year later, they welcomed a baby boy named David. After the guard who brought them together, Victoria's life fell apart. Fired and disgraced, she learned Mr. Raymond had lied to her. He was married with kids and had left Nigeria. Worse, she was pregnant with his child, alone and unemployed. She sat in her small apartment, staring at the video titled "The Truth About You," which had spread online, exposing her cruelty. Full of regret, she realized her greed and pride had ruined her. As the sun set on Daniel and Amara's happy life, the story left a clear message. Don't judge people by appearances. True love values the heart, not money. Pride and greed bring downfall, but kindness and humility always win. Comment below if the story inspires you.